everybody. It's Brian Walsh here, the founder of Real Success, and of course, your co-host for Real Success Summit that's coming up in January. We're so excited. And I've got the great Mr. Peter Sage with me. Peter and I are actually dear friends. We've known each other for a really long time, but Peter's going to have a very important role to play with you guys during the summit. He's going to be speaking twice, but he's mostly going to be talking about how we have this thing about wanting to change, but there's so many, there's blocks that get in the way. So I'm going to ask him a few things about that and connect you with him around what he teaches. But firstly, Peter is, he's an entrepreneur galore, much like when we spoke to Sharon. He's actually run numerous businesses. He's been teaching and training in personal development and business development for decades now, I think, Peter. But it's kind of like almost the sideline of the many businesses you invested in and started in so many different industries. But Peter, I believe, is, from my perspective, and I get to work with the best teachers in the world, probably one of the, if not the number one personal mastery teacher in the world. Like really just his knowledge, his understanding of what holds us back, what prevents us from, making shift is just, one of the best in the world. So he's going to start the summit because it's very relevant. So make sure you're there right at the beginning, because it's really relevant to talk about, before you start hearing all these other teachers and opportunities and how to make money and how to create wealth and how to improve your relationships, that you get that core understanding. And he'll be talking later in the summit as well to kind of reinforce that. So Peter, we could speak for hours, but we're not going to, because they're going to get you for a couple of hours on the summit. But I think what got you into this thing is I love the fact that you take on what a lot of people don't realize is, we buy programs, I'm guilty of this, and then we don't actually follow through. We have intention to want to change something, be it around our money or health or whatever aspect, but we don't follow through. This is kind of the one area that you've really touched on, is helping people break through those barriers, and you've helped hundreds of thousands of people do it. What got you into that?
I think it was that being tired of running the same cycle. Yeah, we're not taught any of this in school. In school, we're taught how to learn in a very inefficient way by being exposed to information in a way where we try to engage our short-term memory. And if you've ever been introduced to somebody and 5 seconds later can't remember their name, you know how reliable our short-term memory is. So yeah, if we then take that methodology and apply it to wanting to be successful in life, we think, oh, I know, I have to go and invest and learn something. And then if I take enough notes, if I read them enough times, and I really kind of get it, finally, I'll be successful. And unfortunately, we're not set up evolutionarily to do that. Our short-term memory, willpower, and trying to cram the front part of our brain hasn't really served people. And so when you understand that we actually have a very powerful, innate success habit forming mechanism, we're just not using it. And I'll give you an example. Let's say that I decide to leave my sunny little island of Tenerife, where in the middle of winter right now, it's 20 degrees Celsius, and I decide I want to go live in, I don't know, a random place, South Africa, for 2 years. And I come back to go visit my friends in England. They're going to say, hey, Peter, you picked up a bit of an accent, a bit of a South African accent there, boy. And I wouldn't have noticed that. They did. But the important thing to note is this: when I landed in South Africa, I didn't sign up for a free online masterclass in getting a South African accent. What happened? Well, the environment happened. In other words, I, without even consciously thinking about it, I didn't have to go and take notes on getting an accent, but over a period of time, exposed to a certain environment, the environment impacted every word that came out of my mouth, and I wasn't even aware of it. Now, my question to most people that don't have the wealth or the abundance that they think they are trying to get is, what financial accent are you speaking with? And how did you develop that? What self-esteem accent are you speaking with? What self-image accent are you speaking with? Because people are too busy trying to change with force, willpower, new knowledge, and short-term memory, and wondering why they have set up to fail. But if you're able to find ways where you can use the brain's innate habit form, so you can shift your inner environment in a way where now it's working for you, the law of conformity is supporting you rather than going against you, then you can make changes that most people spend years trying to make and never getting anywhere in a matter of days or weeks. And that's super powerful. But if you don't know where to look, then it's not going to help. You're going to run that cycle of rinse and repeat over and over again, wasting money on good information, just poor execution, because you've got a car, but you've never been taught how to drive. So you think the best way to get from A to B is to push it. It can work that way. It's just not what it's designed for. So on the summit, I'm going to show people how to tap into that innate habit forming mechanism and why you self-sabotage, why you procrastinate, and what to do about it.
Yeah. And this is so, so important. I just want to tell everyone that's listening, I mean, this is Peter's mastery area. Like, this guy has spent huge amounts of resources, time and energy, understanding every aspect of how to transform the self, from an inner perspective, and really dealing with the block. You're going to come to the summit, you're going to be inspired, it's new year, you're going to want to do things and change and all this kind of stuff, and you're going to get to the end of 2024 and look back and go, oh, I'll do it in 2025, like we've been so repetitively doing with our lives. That change is not as easy as it's sometimes made out to be. At Real Success, we're very committed to this understanding, because we have incredible quality teachers that teach you how to create wealth and teach you how to how to make money and how to master business and how to do all these things. And they are the best in the world in that space. But the truth is, at the end of the day, the follow through, as Peter was talking about, like is where the issue often happens. Like, there's just something that gets in the way. And guys, Peter's going to literally share with you strategies, techniques, understandings, insight, like so much about this singular topic. You're going to be blown away. And I think, Peter, I mean, it's interesting. We often say, we teach because it's the best way to figure something out. So it was part of your journey. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you had successes, you had failures and everything. But I mean, obviously over the many, many years, it's become part of your own journey, and you've become an absolute master in it, not just for yourself, but for the thousands of students that you've helped in this space as well. I mean, am I right in saying, I mean, we're not altruists. We're not all about trying to help everyone else because we love people more than ourselves. It's actually about mastering ourselves and then taking that mastery and using it. You exemplify everything you teach. I've known you for a long time. You challenge yourself. You put yourself through some interesting scenarios, like some things you're doing next year, in order to actually challenge your ability to master this, beyond what most people would expect. But I mean, is that probably a fair assessment that as part of your journey, it was overcoming the challenge yourself that really led to you becoming a master?
Yes, well, absolutely, because so many people get stuck in patterns of limitation, and they go looking for love in all the wrong places, shall we say. Yeah, what am I by that? Well, if I was to say, what is your biggest problem in the outer world right now? I'm going to say outer world. I'm about in the story of your life. What's going on? The drama. Is it interest rates? Is it lack of cash flow? Is it relationship problems, health problems? What's the biggest limiting factor? The biggest problem? And if you were then to ask somebody, okay, what is your biggest inner limiting belief? Most people could identify at least one, if not several more. If I was saying, pick one of the biggest limiting beliefs, think about it right now. And if I was to turn around and say, if you had the opportunity to solve your biggest problem in the outer world or eradicate your biggest limiting belief, which do you think would have the most impact over time? It's night and day. Because if you solve drama, it's not because it happens to be drama, it's because you're operating at a level of drama, which means you solve drama at the dinner table, it's going to show up at the office. You solve it there, it's going to show up at the gas station. You're living at a certain frequency that is perpetuating your current circumstances. So if you were to shift the inner world, outer world follows inner world. If you've got money issues, you're not in debt because you don't earn enough. You're in debt because you haven't mastered your relationship to money. You're not overweight because you eat too much. That's just a lie that the multi-billion-dollar diet industry loves to sell you so that you can buy some other crap thinking you found a solution, when the real reason that you're overweight is because you haven't mastered your relationship to food. And so the inner game shifts everything. You make one shift there, like an enlightened chiropractor that can take a look at the spine and make one adjustment, and everything else lines up. On the summit, my job is to make that inner adjustment so that everything in your outer world starts to line up.
I think that's such I mean, I know if you're listening, guys, and like, you know, this principle, Peter's got a beautiful way of articulating it, but, you know, we hear it all the time, you know, from top teachers and what have you. But I promise you, Peter's going to blow you away. Like when he actually starts to give you examples and show you different elements and techniques and what have you. You know, because it's beyond, we know, Peter, without a shadow of doubt, that the outer world is just a reflection of our inner world. So, you know, but I used to freak out because like when I first came into this industry, like everyone talked mindset. And I was like, my mind's a mess. You know, that was my story. Like, I can't change my mind. I'm screwed, you know. But I mean, it took me years, longer than, you know, I like to admit, to actually realizing, you know, what it meant to change mind, raise standards, change context, you know, from an inside perspective and from an identity. And it is actually a combination of both, like habitual mastering what you do while you're working on the mind. But the truth is that identity, that is what controls you. So you're either wealthy or you're not. You either have abundance or you don't. You're either healthy or you're not. You're either loving or you're not. Like you, and it's not a reality. The first thing I ever learned in personal development was your reality is just an illusion. And I love that because I still use it today when I learned it when I was 26 years old, because it's stuck. Is that actually everyone's reality, as in what the world's reflecting to them, you know, and what's happening around them, is just an illusion that has the ability to be controlled by shifting within. And I mean, some of the stuff you teach, and you know, you support people in this space and have for a long time, is mind-blowing. I don't think we've seen many teachers that have as many tens of thousands of success stories and people that just, you know, you're a very well-loved person, Peter, you know, I mean, not just from your friends like me, but from the many people that you've helped, because it's not, like many things, not actually that complicated, but it requires understanding and then a process of implementation. And you're probably the best at you spend years actually studying from the best in the world to find the things that actually work. I guess that was a long way of me getting to that point. And you know, we love you for it, but it's profound.
I appreciate it. It's very, very humbling to hear. Yeah, I often say to people, yeah, I'm just a guy. I've had the very good fortune of being able to have learned from some incredible teachers, and I've made enough mistakes that, you know, if I'm able to walk a few feet ahead and I can shine a flashlight behind me to help people avoid the potholes that I've scraped my knees in, then yeah, why wouldn't you do that? It's part of the journey. And yeah, there's no easy or hard questions. There's only questions you don't know the answers to. And so we're not taught this. And just like if you go back 200 years and give somebody the keys to a Ferrari, they've got no idea, you know, what that's capable of. You know, when you give somebody the keys to their mind, it's not that the mind is broken, it's that they've just never been taught how to drive. And when you can just give some basic information that allows somebody to know what the pedals do, how to go and stop, you can transform somebody's entire experience just by giving a few basic points. You don't have to go spend 5 years in a PhD to figure out the stuff inside in order to be happy, joyful, fulfilled, and abundant. And, you know, I condense everything I've spent 33 years now learning into the most impactful session I can deliver, so that anyone that shows up to the summit, which shows us that they've got willingness, you know, or a teacher wants the willing student, you know, they show up, we'll deliver. And, you know, that's my promise. And I'm quite excited because, you know, the world's in a place right now where 2024, we have the ability to impact more people in a positive way, because the best way we're going to move forward for humanity at this point is by us all being the example and the invitation. And the more people we can touch and affect that way, that's going to help people come more from love instead of fear over the next 12 months, the better this planet's going to be and the people on it. So that's why I'm showing up.
Yeah, and that's a great way just to kind of end. I mean, I've been saying this to a lot of people, like, you know, the world's in a kind of state of chaos, but it's not really, meaning like if you choose to look at everything that's going on, you're going to just see lots of stuff that confirms 150,000 excuses as to why something's not going to work. But so many people are succeeding, so many people are changing, so many people are evolving. I mean, we're both entrepreneurs. We actually know this is the greatest time to be on earth as an entrepreneur, is when everything goes a little bit crazy. And I mean, it's not nice crazy either. There's war going on. There's ridiculous politics going on. There's all types of things happening at the environment level and everything. But the truth is, it's you know, Stephen Covey, of course, who in the 7 Habits spoke about the circle of influence versus the circle of concern. And we live in the circle of concern with everything. And if you just watch media, I watch news, but I don't get emotional at all. I only just scan it to kind of see things that might be relevant. But in many cases, it's, we've just been fed with this nonsense. Guys, your reality is entirely in your hands. And it doesn't matter about your age, sex, background, religion, where you're based. I mean, I live in a third world country. Peter comes from a first world country, although he's lived all over the world, so he's experienced it all. I mean, I always say to my fellow South Africans, you guys don't know how good it is until your international friends come here and tell you how good it is. Because we have an incredible lifestyle in this beautiful country called South Africa, as you do in Tenerife now. And I just think it's just perception, but yet people believe it's such a mess because that's what they choose. And so that environment, it's not actually the environment that controls it, it's literally the environment that we manifest, or the perception or the illusion of our environment that then feeds us all this nonsense. Anyway, I love this, and I love you, Peter, because you're so brilliant at helping people understand this, and not just that, but then giving them the tools to change it. So guys, make sure you're on the summit. Spend this time with Peter. He's going to start. He's going to talk again. That's actually a privilege. He's going to come back later on, which is really helpful after you've gone through and worked with a number of our friends and stuff to revisit that context. And then he's actually even going to do a masterclass afterwards where he's going to take you through an exact process on how to shift it. And yeah, Peter, I love you, man. I wish we could spend more time together. We will at some stage. And but I'm so excited always to have you involved, but also just ever since we started realizing putting you first was the best thing we ever did, simply because you touch so many people through your teaching. And yeah, really, really appreciate you, and can't wait to see your session and the impact it's going to make.
I'm excited too. I'm excited for everybody that's watching this, that's making a commitment to show up. I'm excited for the impact that they're going to be making to their friends, family, community as we go through 2024. And yeah, I've got an awesome feeling. Thank you to you, Brian, for actually creating this opportunity for us all to come together.
Brilliant. We'll see you guys there.